Hi, I'd like to welcome you to this mediation today. My name is Danielle Moody, but I prefer to go by Danny. And what are your names and what can I call you?
Jasmine.
Hi, Jasmine. Nice to meet you.
Dalton, nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you too. Before we get started, I'd like to ask that you discard of any weapons that you may have on you and turn off your cell phones. If you absolutely have to have your cell phones on, I would ask that you please put them on vibrate or put them on mute, okay? To start off, I would like to thank you for coming in today. Mediation is a great way to communicate in a safe environment to try to resolve disputes. This process is completely voluntary, and if you were ordered here by the court, you just have to show a good faith effort to try to resolve the dispute that brings you here today. And we've set aside 2 hours for us to talk here today. As a mediator, I'm going to be acting as a neutral third party to help you to hopefully come to an agreement. I have no power or authority to issue any judgments or order anybody to do anything, nor would I want to. The purpose of our meeting today is to hopefully come up with a resolution to the dispute that both parties can be satisfied with. Just to be sure, are all parties here today that are necessary to make an agreement?
Yeah.
Okay. There may be times you see me take notes, and that's simply so I can remember key facts. You have also been provided with pen and paper so that you may take notes if you wish. This process is completely confidential, and any notes taken here today will be shredded at the conclusion of our session. There are some exceptions to the confidentiality that we'll go into in detail when we get to the consent form later on, okay? Have either of you ever been in mediation before?
No.
No? Okay, well, I'll go over the process just briefly before we get started. Each person will get a chance to state their side of the story. Normally, the person bringing the complaint or the plaintiff is the one who goes first. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. During the time that each of you are given, I ask the other party to please not interrupt. If you think of something you would like to say while the other person is talking, please use the paper provided to take notes so that you can remember when it comes your turn to speak. To start out, I would like each of you to speak directly to me and only to me. There may be a time later on when I ask you to start speaking to each other, but to start off with, please just speak to me. After each person has gotten their uninterrupted time to explain the situation, we'll organize and clarify the issues at hand. Then, once it's completed, we'll brainstorm together to generate some ideas on how this matter can be settled. If an agreement is reached, we'll put it in writing, each of you will sign it, and it will be forwarded to the courts. There may be times during this process where I'll have to speak with each of you individually, and this is referred to as a caucus. A caucus adds an extra layer of confidentiality, and that nothing said in a caucus will be repeated to the other party without your express permission. Are we okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to go over a few ground rules, then we'll read the consent form together before we sign the consent to mediation and begin. As I've already asked, no weapons, and please turn off your cell phones. You will initially speak only to me. One person talks at a time, no interruptions, and please, at all times, be polite. All right, we'll read the consent form. I understand that all files and notes on Mountain Mediation Services and its mediators are confidential. There are exceptions to this rule. A mediator can be compelled to testify about the mediation in cases involving juvenile abuse, neglect, or dependency. Abuse, neglect, or exploitation of a disabled adult, disciplinary proceedings before the NC State Bar, felony trials, and criminal acts, violence, or threats of violence made during mediation that endanger a person or property. If the parties reach agreement, MMS will forward the dismissal form to the district attorney once any applicable fees are paid. I agree that I will not hold MMS responsible for any agreements made or failures to reach an agreement during mediation. I understand that mediators are neutral parties and cannot give legal advice or assist in a case. I further understand that the mediators and MMS will give no opinion regarding the legal effect of this consent to mediation or any agreement that is reached as a result of mediation. If I have a legal question, I may request a continuance of the mediation in order to consult with an attorney of my choice. I understand that the MMS mediators and staff have judiciary immunity from any civil action except in the case of willful or wanton neglect. I understand that weapons and physical conflict are not permitted at MMS. I also understand and agree that MMS retains the right to report any crimes committed on the premises. Does anybody have any questions?
No.
You sure?
Yes.
Does that sound okay? Does that sound like something we can agree? All right, and if you'll just sign right here, we'll get started. And if you will sign right here.